Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. How is everyone doing this fine day? Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, Mark. Hello, Mark. To Mark. Mark with a C and Mark with a K. Welcome, both of you. Good morning, Anissa. Good morning, Yogi. Hey, David Atkins. Good morning to you. Hello. Christoph, Happy New Year to you. It's almost that time. Tomorrow's New Year's Eve. Good morning, Royal Palms. Good morning, MJ. Thank you all for tuning in. So, again, this won't be a super long session. Just we're going to take a quick look at the markets and see what is going on. So, overall, well, you're welcome, Mark. Overall, oh, by the way, good morning to Rusty and Patrick over on Rumble and people in the background on Rumble. So, I imagine you are still wrapped up with work. I hope you have a very prosperous week at work, Sterling. And there's no problem. There's not a lot to post. So don't even worry about it, Sterling, when we appreciate everything you do. Just focus on your work. Uh, we had Redbook come in 7.6, very strong Redbook print. Case-Shiller home price year over year, 1.3%. So, but it's again very thin data. We have the Chicago PMI coming out 15 minutes after the cash open. Still expected to be, it's expected to bounce, but still expected to be in contraction. We have the Dallas Fed Services Revenue Index. And probably the biggest thing today is we have the FOMC minutes from the last meeting. So that's about the biggest thing. That's at 2 p.m. Eastern time this afternoon. If we look, sort of a mixed day. Energy still strong. Basic materials bouncing back. We're going to take a closer look at basic materials. Groups, we have basic materials leading the rally with the bounce back in gold and silver. We have energy, another up day so far. Let's just refresh this. I think everything's positive except comm services and consumer defensive, but they're barely negative. So, going to be watching to see if we get that turnaround Tuesday today, especially setting up with some nice little pullback yesterday. Remember, we still are in the midst of the Santa rally time frame. So we still have the upward bias from that. We have 84% for a pause in the next Fed meeting. We're in neutral mode on the Fear and Greed Index, and the Shiller PE is 40.59. All right. All right. So let's see here. All right. Well, I got to say good morning to Balaji. How are you? How are you doing? So, yesterday, pulling back close to the 8 EMA. If we do start falling again, I'll still be looking for, even if we pull back in the open, still, if we come closer to 69.30, I'll still be looking for bullish setups. If we did break below there, then I'm looking at around 6,900 to 6,907. Right now, I'm watching this key level about 6,957. It's got to follow through then above 69.60, but I'm watching on for a potential break above 69.57. It's got to sustain right there. If we do start breaking below 69.45, though, then I'm looking for potentially breaking down. There's a support shelf in here. There's that 69.30 area, 69.29. So that's what I'm watching. It's flattened out on the 4-hour rotation zone. So with that, I'm still favoring, though, the breakout play slightly, unless we do break below that 69.45 area. Where would that take us if we rotated back up? My first target would be about 69.80. Doesn't have to happen today. Again, if we do dip into the daily rotation zone and cannot sustain the 69.29, 69.30 area, then I'm looking for the bigger pullback in the rotation zone, and I'll look for another maybe percent B buy setup tomorrow. That's the game plan that I'm using. So that's exactly what I'm looking for, and I'm favoring still the S&P first and foremost. The Nasdaq, The key level I'm watching in case we break higher is 25,750 area. It's been pretty substantial resistance. If we break above there, it's got to turn that into support. Now, if we also break above there and we don't take out these lows, I'm looking at 25,790 area for the first target, then 25,827 as the second target. If we do break down, especially we start taking out 25,680 area, then I'm looking closer to 25,605 for the next pullback level. And if we did break below that, you got the bottom of the rotation zone. The rotation zone does not have that much separation, but if we lost the rotation zone, then I'm not looking for any bullish setups. If we break down and close below the rotation zone today, I will be much more patient with the NASDAQ. The Dow, the key level, we're back holding the rotation zone. We pulled back to it yesterday. In the Dow, I'm looking, it's got to get above 48,800, 48,805. All right, if we start breaking below 48,675, then I will be patient. Yeah, I'm not looking for any short setups right now, especially with the upward bias, and I'm not scalping short in the thin volume. So if there's nothing setting up to with the bias, because we could have sharp reversals, it's just too thin and you have the natural upward bias, there's no point for me to try to scalp anything from the short side. If there's no good setups from the long side, then taking the day off. Russell, I am watching the Russell more closely today. We've continued to pull back in a perfect channeling pattern. The Russell, though, has to get above about 25, 46, 47 area, and then, which could be a potential breakout long, but it's got to then follow through above the channel. There's a lot of little resistance in here. You can see the little resistance shelf right here where my cursor is going across, roughly around the top of that channel. And again, there's no decent short setups. Now it's back against the bottom of the rotation zone right here. So going to be keeping a close eye on that, because if we do break below 25, 28 area, we could easily then retest this 25.05 area. And we do have a potential double top still. It's completely valid. The VIX, it reversed yesterday after the open. So if we start really moving up down below 410, I'll really start focusing on that. It could sustain a rally. If we cannot, then I'm still watching for those breakout levels, but the VIX has to be dropping with any breakout. The yields, not much to talk about. Then nothing's going on with the yields right now, so I'm not focusing on them. Oh, thank you, OD Green. Hey, holy, how are you? So that's where, yeah, we'll see if Santa believes in turnaround Tuesday. The Santa rally doesn't believe in turnaround Tuesday. Crude, keeping a we couldn't, again, yesterday bounced, but keeping an eye. Remember, we talked about it yesterday. The 50 EMA is very, very key. I'm going to sit up and take notice if we close above 59, not just for today, but for this week. Again, thinner markets, but I'm going to keep it, because that could mean we're setting up a new higher base. Crude has been not great trading recently. I'll be watching for things like percent beat buys. There just isn't one now, but I'll really sit up and take notice above 59. Gold, we're getting the bounce back. Now let's focus on the metals. Gold came down to the bottom of the rotation zone. Now it's bouncing. This secondary reaction is going to be key. So far, the key level it's got to close above, if these lows hold, is 44.83 and a half. On a continued bounce back, 44.50 is the first very key level that I'll be looking for. If we roll over before then, I'm going to be watching to see if we make a mini double bottom here. If we continue to rally, I'm looking at 44.50, And then between 44.50 and 44.83, that's the critical rollover zone again. And you also see right in there, there's the breakdown zone, right about 44.75. So that's going to be key on this bounce. What else do we have? Silver. Silver's already come up. Silver's already come up to the key area, 76.45 area. So I'm paying attention to that. If it continues to bounce, then 78 is key on the closing area. If we close above 78, then that tips the probabilities for a potential retest of the 80 area. Now, could this set up a massive double top? Yes, it could. But that's why I'm paying very close attention. Now, anywhere between the 76.45 and about 78 is the rollover zone still. So that's where I'm really paying attention to silver on this. Remember, yesterday I said we got the pullback on the daily. Silver looks straight back to the 8 EMA, the top of the rotation zone, and bouncing off of it. So this is very key on the metals. Again, 78 to shift the probabilities. These bounces are buyable. They were buyable. Would not be necessarily chasing it now, but again, it's a tight stop unless we start closing above 78. So I hope that makes sense. Dollar index trying to bounce back in this channeling corrective pattern. I'm going to be watching today if it can break above 97.80. So far, we still do have a potential double bottom. So far, we have not yet played out the final target, but again, watching because we still have the massive double bottom in play. So I'm keeping a very close eye on the dollar index. Euro, we do have a potential double top. Going to be watching if the euro breaks down below 117.50. The inner market's all around though, so keep that in mind. Bitcoin, still nothing to talk about. I actually bumping up any breakout level. It's right around 90,400 now. 90,400. It's got to sustain above there for a breakout. Breakdown is still about 84,700. Spiders came back to the rotation zone yesterday. If we do start dropping below, there's a minor gap down today. So the first thing would be to the gap fill. But if we do start taking out yesterday's low, then I'm looking closer to 684. If we break below 684, we're looking about 682.50 and then back down to 680.75. Those are the downside levels. On any bounce, I'm paying a close attention to yesterday's high. There's actually a significant level around yesterday's high, right around 689. The Qs, again, this is a little gap down today, so for any rally play, it'd be the gap fill. But the Qs, I'm paying close attention if we close below the rotation zone today. And we still do, remember, we still have an unfilled gap at 617.05. So what are you typing in here? To see what confirmation bias in the stock trading world looks like, type AMC into search on X. You must guard against the sentiment at all costs. You can be wrong, accept it, and take your predetermined loss and move on. That's always good trading advice. AMC 633 minimum. I don't even know where AMC's trading. I mean, you take your lot. See this? Well, this is why they've moved on to the metals, because look at this. I mean, geez, remember when this was? This is so ridiculous. Vertical up, vertical down. You're gonna see some of this even at some point in the metals too. Might not be as vertical down as rapidly, but you're gonna see. And I'm not saying metals are going to zero, but when you get these massive pushes, could this keep squeezing higher in silver? Could we hit 100? Sure. But at some point, you got too many people late to the party. But look at that. If you're hoping now to recover, if you're hoping to get back to 633, well, you got to get another squeeze play. The last one was in May. It's just a joke. Move on from this crap. So, what else do we have? We have Tesla lowering their delivery figures. I'm going to be looking for any secondary bounce for a more substantial topping pattern now. Yeah, this stock's insanely overvalued. It's beyond insanely overvalued. It came close yesterday to filling this gap. We closed below the rotation zone. Going to be looking very closely at 455, 456 for a support. If it comes down there, other than that, on a bounce, I'm watching for the gap fill, but I'm looking for a more substantial top pattern. That there's not a lot going on. Meta bought somebody, but even Meta not doing much. Meta not doing much. What did I type there? Google just sort of sitting in this consolidation. Still going to be watching to see if Google can rotate back up and get through this resistance base. It still needs to close. I've been looking for bounce plays in Google. We're actually long it from the unfiltered investor, but it's got to get above 316.56 on the closing basis. We have just very thin markets right now, so don't do anything silly if you don't have anything to do. All right, let's just peek at the S&P into the open. Not much has changed. 69.57 is still my key level. Triggered daily double bottom on Nvidia. Yeah, this was a triggered double bottom on Nvidia. I should have mentioned that. So there's your targets higher 196.85, 201, and then 205.69. I'm still, by the way, the on a weekly basis, this head and shoulders isn't done yet. It might, if it fills out this double, it is done. But if it rolls over, you can still get symmetrical shoulders. Now, if it keeps grinding higher, it'll be off the table pretty soon. Well, you said. Well, that is a valid potential double bottom setup. That is a. I hate trading REITs, by the way, but that is a valid potential double bottom setup. Second target, I just wanted to see that. Second target is going to be critical. 199.50. That's going to be critical. This has not triggered yet. So, this could still roll over and turn it into a triple bottom, but that's your key. Your key level is on a close above 193.18. If you're playing this at all to the long side, this is not triggered yet, so it's not a long. It would not be a long yet for me. But the very key level to watch is 199.50 on a closing basis. 199.51 technically. It did pull back into the weekly rotation zone and trying to form a double bottom for the bounce. But yes, MJ, that is a valid potential double bottom on well. With that, that's it. Thank you, everybody. Not going to hold up everybody. Enjoy your still holiday week. New Year's Eve tomorrow, and I'm still fighting something off. But again, if I'm not going to be here, I'll post on Twitter. Not going to call it X. I'm going to post on Twitter that it's canceled. Other than that, assume that we will have a brief session tomorrow. Nothing on Thursday. Nothing on Thursday, and then a brief session on Friday. And then next week we'll be back to the full regular scheduled programming. You are welcome, MJ. Again, everyone have a fantastic day. Good luck to you, Sterling, at the dealership, pumping out a lot of metal. Hope it's a very successful week. And I shall talk to everyone later. Bye for now.